you for being with me.
Hi, Louise. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
I was curious if you could let us know a little bit how you managed to convince them that you were ready for a change and that you really wanted this and that you could apply your skills from finance to fashion.
Right, that's a great question because you don't really think that you're capable of doing like a 360, like a pivot, when you have like studied for one career and done it for such a long time. But it actually the thing that I always like go back to is that I've always been a creative person. So I used to dance, I used to do theater, I used to model back in Puerto Rico and do all those things. So I always had that little kind of side thing that was creative, and I was a dancer for like many years, many years. So all of those things are what has fed my creativity for all this time. So it's always in me. And I think the most creative thing that I used to do in finance was like the presentations. So I used to do the investor presentations of the public company that I worked for. And that was the most creative part of the whole thing. But I studied finance. I really liked the markets and banking, and I had a almost 15-year career at the bank. And at some point, I ended up living in New York for the last 4 years of that career, and that was a great experience. And I was doing more of investor relations there also. And that's when I said, well, I am in this great city. I should take more advantage of this city and see what I can learn here. So I enrolled myself in an online course at Parsons
Okay.
Design School. So that was really good to just kind of just throw myself into another life. And then I started to kind of see who could show me about the garment district and how does it work and where did you buy materials in New York City. So I started to just learn a little bit by little bit with other designers, with the publicists that I had back then, with people in the industry. Little by little, you kind of gather that this experience of like where to get materials, where to handbags are made. At some point, I met the person that did the Rebecca Minkoff handbags when she started, and she actually did my first handbag. So that it's a process, and at the beginning I had a person kind of advising me, which is interesting. Those people, I want to call them mistakes, right? Because you learn something from all of them. There's people that are in the industry and they're advisors and they charge for what they do, but sometimes they're going to tell you don't do that. Like, for example, my first advice was don't do handbags because it's so saturated, it's difficult, it involves a lot of capital investment, money, and she was right to a point. But then, if it was really what you wanted to do, then just like go for it. So that first collection that I ever did was done in between San Juan, Puerto Rico, New York City, and with all the material that I gather from my trips to Paris, from New York City itself, and the women in my family, my aunts and my mom will help me sew them because I couldn't do it. I could glue stuff. This is what I want, and then I would
I
show them.
remember hearing that. Yeah, it's adorable.
So,
Yes.
so we did a bunch of really cute stuff. Lots of back then it was more lace and like very old lace that I would find. We would do like gloves, capes, necklaces. I may have something. I have to maybe I find you. And then kind of more romantic side of a collection.
Yeah.
And I sold that, and I kind of like, okay, so it seems like some people like it, so it's good. So then this is where I'm like about to move to Paris. And when I moved to Paris, I said, okay, so I'm here. I need to just like start. And with everything, you're gonna probably know people already in the industry or related industry that kind of could help you. So start with the people that you know, with your network. And I started just asking around. And then I don't know if you know, but the Puerto Rican mafia is like big everywhere where we go. So the
Okay.
diaspora helps each other a lot. And talking to other people that live here, kind of, who could I talk to? How could I get a job in fashion? One of my friends said, well, I think I know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that could get you an interview. Because for me, it's kind of like once I get the interview, then that's like half the battle, and you're almost there. But sending resumes without having that connection is very hard. And there's so many people doing it, right? So that was good. And then I got the interview, and then the first time they were like, well, we have to try you so we can give you clothes in exchange for your work the first time. Well, they knew if I was good, and then the job require like international wholesale sales. So it's basically catering to all the buyers that come to Paris to see a collection and to buy for their stores. And it's like Spain or Asia or the United States. So those were my main clients, like Spanish speaking clients, Americans, and Asians were the clients that I mostly did. So they need people that speak multiple languages for this type of job. So it was good for me in terms of that, because my French at that point was not great. It's still not great. So, it helped. And it was great to learn how different cultures buy a collection. Like, for example, clients from Dubai or the Middle East, they will buy all of it because they need to wear all of it.
Okay.
So even though it's like a pants or a dress that doesn't really go with pants, then they will buy pants to put under the, because they have to just cover themselves, the women there. So it's just different buying options. The Latin countries are more of a vibrant colors, and I don't know if you got caught up.
No, I can hear you well. Yeah.
Either. So Latin countries love vibrant colors. They're always looking for the color, more of a summer, less wintry stuff. The Asians are all about how things fit in their bodies, which is they tend to be shorter.
Okay.
So they will come and they will spend 2 days and they will try everything on themselves. They really didn't care to see the model. So the showroom has, 6 feet tall models walking all over, but they don't care about that, because they know that their demographic is different, their client. So, and these are people buying for department stores in Asia. So they spend time and they photograph everything and they try everything. And that was kind of like how it started. And from that first time that they didn't pay me, that they just gave me clothes, I ended up doing about 6 seasons with them. And then in between because this is like something that you do like 4 times a year for like 2 weeks, maybe a month, depending on the season. And I also did a Paris, which is like another kind of, it's a bigger brand in the US. It's like the brand that came with like colorful jackets, like fur, like fake fur.
Okay.
Colorful. And they were big in the US and they wanted to try their luck in Europe. And then at the end, just before the pandemic, so my last client was canceled, which is LBMH. So it's like more like working at the bank, because they do several days of training. They give you portfolios. They give you like all this information of how you're supposed to sell. Versus on a smaller brand like Eero, it's kind of like you can kind of make it your own, because you know the clients. Once you kind of see them season after season, you already know what they like, what they buy, kind of things like that.
Right.
And that's how I did like the first jobs here in Paris.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. It's inspiring. I think that's the best word to come up with. And still to talk about so the beginning of your journey in fashion. I wanted to go back to your first handbag that you mentioned, and I was hearing in an interview that so you participated in a fashion contest in New York at some point. And it's at the third round that you were able to win it. And I thought that was really interesting. Like you emphasized at some point, so that you persevered, you continue to believe in yourself, in your handbag. And I just wanted to pause and talk a little bit about that, because I think that's also something for entrepreneurs that can be challenging, is how to know when it's worth persevering from when it's worth quitting, so to say. And so how did you manage to keep that stamina and that faith?
Yeah, so 3 different years I sent sketches to the Independent Handbag Designer Awards by Emily Blumenthal. And I don't I don't have a piece of the story as to how I learned about this competition. I just know that I had her book. She has a great book to make handbags, so everybody should definitely go get it. It's like 101 handbag designer. It's like in multiple languages. You'll find it in Amazon. And I had the book, and I remember just like knowing that there's this competition, and I just sent first two sketches, and I didn't get in. And then on the third try, I was selected as a finalist. And the cool thing about this competition is that once you're like a finalist, it's like you're in the family forever, and then your country is involved, like because you get to vote. You need votes for just like a popular category or something like that, like the fan based vote, and you actually like get your country and everybody to like put you on TV, put you on the newspaper, and then just be able to kind of like vote for you so you can win that part of the competition. So that was a great experience for me. And then I realized that okay, and that was with this handbag.
Yeah,
You can see it.
I love it. Yeah, it's so nice. It's
So
the bucket list.
I realized that okay, there's something with this handbag, and I had at that point I had two of them, the sample and the one that went to the competition, and I would photograph that as if there was like 100 of them, and everybody tells me now that they thought that there were 100 of them, and I was like, no, it was two handbags for like 2 years that I just like keep getting this. I just made a story about her, like it was called la cuckoo, because cuckoo in French is yoo-hoo, like cuckoo. Yeah, so I just it was like playful, but then it became kind of like that friend that goes with you to hang out and have fun and rock dance love and all of these things that started to be kind of born from this time. And that's how I took time to like what is it that I wanted the mission of the brand to be, and it was more of an older um demographic, women like me. I'm in my 40s, so just women in their 40s that maybe are moms already or professionals, are just in a later stage, and they can still feel that they can rock it, so that was kind of like the whole thing. And then the pandemic starts, and then I'm like, well, then I have to keep the story and not in Paris, because I knew that person in New York that did handbags for Rebecca Minkoff, but what's it called? Nicole, what's her name? And I said, well, I'm gonna have to stay in Paris because I want to be part of the first process. I want to definitely like not go like, oh, this is my sketch and can you make me this handbag? Like I wanted to source the material and go to Paris and see. And it was not as fun as it sounds. It was very difficult task. I cried many times because either I was not finding the right stuff, or people were giving me just complaints that this is not possible, like I'm not going to be able to do this, or it was just too costly, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to run out of money. I haven't even sold a bag.
Yeah, right.
So it was stressful. And then what I did is with that one I did a pre-sale,
Okay.
and then it took me like 7 months to deliver them.
Okay.
But in the meantime I started a second one that I did in Spain, because I realized, okay, it's in Spain and they're long distance, but I'm a native Spanish speaker. So I thought it should be okay.
Yeah.
We will understand each other better, and then we'll do it long distance. And then he did the mini cuckoo, which is this one that
Nice.
came in black first, but
Yeah.
this is the gold one. I don't have any more left, but and then
Right. I didn't see that one. Yeah, on the site.
and then he has its chain, and then you can also wear it, and then you have like your your credit cards, your money, your lipstick, your AirPods. That has been my wallet for the last 3 years. And I put just everything on it. And then so everything that I did was multifunctional. So you can take the key, there's a key, and you can take the heart and wear it.
Okay, so cool.
Yeah. So that was the idea. And then you can use it as a belt.
Okay.
Or as a crossbody, you can, or even as like a little necklace. I mean, you can just play with it. And then from one thing, I realized that people were so excited with the products that if I kept releasing more products, they will still buy.
Right.
So then while we were waiting for the big one, this one comes out, and then a bracelet came out with the same hearts, and then earrings came out, and then another bigger bag came out, and then it just like took me from having one bag that was only two bags to like having a whole collection of like 13 different models.
Okay, okay, great, great, amazing. Yeah, so it really snowballed. Like it was hard to get started, but once you got there, like you were on a track. Yeah, for sure. And so what I'm hearing is like it's difficult, and there's always people to tell you you can do this and whatnot. But like if you really are passionate, I guess, about what you're doing, you just continue to persevere, and you eventually get
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
and you have that customer in your mind.
Mm,
Like you have that customer, you're basically designing for that customer, and you know what she likes. So once one product came out, I mean, it was just a matter of like, okay, just making sure that they saw that you put another product out there.
absolutely. And you already touched a little bit on it, which is super interesting. But so when you came back from New York and you started like so the process of building partnerships and collaborations in Paris and in Spain, and how it could be difficult. How did you find the right people to work with, and like how did you manage to convince these people to work with you to get people on board? Because to be honest, it sounds overwhelming. I can only imagine you're new to the field. You're not in your home country, not in France, not your first language. So it's a lot of challenges that you passed, and it's honestly from where I am, it seems overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I'm just
It-
curious if you have some
it's
tips.
very hard because those first months it was just money going out, money going out, money going out, and then make starting to make little sales, little sales, little sales until finally almost 10 months in the year, it's when I'm able to go to a place that has traffic and I was able to sell. I mean, I was selling online, but not
Yeah.
massive, So it was just when I did like events when that started to happen. But those first months, I had a group of there were students, they were my interns, but I would pay them, and
Right.
they did a fabulous job with pictures. I mean, if you see here the woman here at the
Yeah,
bottom,
I see.
that's one of the shoots that they did, and that helped a lot because while we were just creating kind of the branding and the look of the brand, those photos were just like
Right.
perfect to get that out there, that it was not just like a side thing, that I was like wanted it to be like a nice company with a look, cool photos and things like that. But it was
Right.
difficult because all of those things cost money. And I was not even using like expensive people. Some of them, some of the photographers were not really charging me what normally they would charge, or things like that. And we were just getting help from studios or whatever. So like, even though, I mean, it was expensive, just like because it was just
Mhm. Mhm.
not, I was not receiving the money that was coming out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that was one thing. And I think it helped more with my confidence than what people care more than you think. Because when I decided, more because I was in Puerto Rico and not in Paris where I have the interns, I just started to do the photos myself with
Mhm.
the phone. And then, once I had that look, it was easier for me to keep going with that.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And then it just kind of like, okay, then let me just now lower those expenses. I cannot do another shoot. I
Mm.
just have to, but I was still having new products. So I just didn't have professional photos for all of them.
Yeah. 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 Fair enough. Fair enough. But congratulations. I mean, it's such an amazing trajectory. It was really cool to discover all of it. And so if we shift a little bit gears from entrepreneurship and dive a bit more into fashion and Web3, because that started to become part of your journey. So maybe we could talk a bit first about Edalou. Edalou first, so you have physical products. One of them, at least maybe more, I'm not sure, are also available as digital products. I'm thinking about the digital earrings. And
Mhm.
so I was wondering if you could tell me how is selling a digital product, an NFT, helping the sales of your physical products? How does it come together in your strategy?
Right. So when I finished the production and all of that was sold in those events that I did, it was already like November. So then winter is coming, and I said, look, I started to, it was Clubhouse days back then, like Clubhouse.
Yeah.
And I started to listen about the creator economy, and that you can make money as a creator, and, you know, personal brands, and then the blockchain. And I was like, this is interesting, because it combined a little bit of the finance
Right.
stuff. And I said, okay, so maybe I should not jump into another production and just spend time learning about this. And I
Right.
did. And then the first, you know, I was part of like my first community was, it's called like a giraffe tower, which is like a bunch of giraffes, and by Gary Henderson. And that's where I learned like how to, like, actually that giraffe over there.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah.
That's my first one too, yeah. So then, you know, I was in a community. So basically you're in a community, and you have the NFT gives you access to that community. And there's a whole bunch of communities, the different things. And then I realized that there's a women community here. And I'm like, oh, I need more women clients. So where are the women? So I started to dig in. So I started to then spend money in all of those women projects. Some of
Amazing.
them are fashion projects. And I just like, you know, let's, you know, invest in them and be part of the club.
Yeah.
And it helped me a lot get my word out into like another, you know, set of community and people. And then
Right.
my first product that year, I said, well, why don't I try to teach this that I feel is the future to my existing clients? But
Yeah.
I was too eager and too I made that book, the ebook, which is
Right.
NFTs for God, that sells in Amazon. But it was 2022, and it was the hype of the market, but it was too early for like a normal like client of mine. It was just too out there, metaverse and NFTs and what blockchain. It's just too much. I mean, and I did that because I felt that we were left behind for crypto women.
Yeah.
Me myself coming from finance, I never cared for it until now. So now I realize it's important to learn about it and see what the technology, especially the blockchain, which is just where things are registered, like digital assets per se, collectibles. It's the same concept as collectibles. It's just that they're digital and they're registered in the blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
So just once I started to understand that, it just became kind of easier for me that this will take a long time for people to get it and understand. It is now a year and a half after I did that book that my clients are starting to buy the book. So imagine. And then into learning and investing into other clubs, I meet the artist Talia Soref of Eyes of Fashion.
Right.
And, you know, meeting her was great, and she was so excited. And I think I was me and my friend Joanna, we met her in Monaco. We were speaking at a conference in Monaco, and that's when we met her. And I think back then it was like the first time she has met in real life some of the holders, and we kept talking. We saw each other in New York for NFTYC, and we just kept talking and we kept talking and we kept talking, and then finally that summer we said, okay, we want you to be part of the team, you know. And I said, okay, I mean, I want to understand more how, you know, these communities work, how you kind of like do stuff for the community and stuff like that, how we can, you know, kind of like, I don't
Yeah.
know, how we can kind of like make it happen.
Yeah.
And I've been there like a year and a half, and we have created the earrings together. So I designed the earrings the normal way, but then we had 3D developers and software and engineers. I mean, like digital designers that in the back of our team that made them into a wearable. So you are able to use them in Snapchat and in video calls.
Yeah.
And that was for me the best utility that you could, because not everybody creates content for social media, but everybody mostly they do video calls.
Right.
Right.
Mm.
And everybody, you know, right now, if that filter would be working, it would give me like a little makeup, and then it would give me the earrings. So, you know, people like that.
Yeah.
There's like utility. There is a, you know, a functional, and it's still digital.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, I met the jeweler in Place Vendôme called Courbe,
Okay.
and she's also into Web3. She has also a project where they are growing diamonds because they are lab-grown diamonds. So this is like what you're buying is little by little, you keep putting Ethereum, and then the diamond grows. So it's a cool project. So, she's into it. So I showed her the earrings, the digital, and I asked her, can you make them real? And she said, sure. And she made them real.
Amazing.
They're gold and diamond.
Yeah.
And they're so light. It's incredible the job that they did because they're so even lighter than the first earrings, the big ones that I have. And then we have been kind of on the road to Monaco, to Cannes, Puerto Rico, New York, Milan, showing them and just explaining the concept of digital
Fashion.
the fashion. Yeah. The other day in Milan, I got asked by Maker's Place, like, we would like to create something another digital thing. So what do you do? And I said, well, I happen to have a picture of Paris, a beautiful picture of Paris, like a photo that I've taken that has this bag in the picture. And I said, okay, let's do it. Let's create an NFT of that photo. And let's sell that with the handbag. And we're actually also selling them with a portrait, with like the physical photograph. So it's the NFT, the handbag, and the photograph.
Amazing. That's a great project. I mean, it sounds like this is not work.
It's just people still need the real thing, people still need to understand, but then by owning the real thing is tied to like a record, a blockchain that exists, that you're the owner of it, which helps for brands, luxury brands. It will eventually be very helpful because then there will be a way to make sure that those are the handbags made by this, against counterfeit and fake bags and things like that.
Right. That's a really good reminder. Thank you so much. Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's like passion. It's really such a great adventure. I love hearing about it. It's really cool. And I mean, so you already touched upon that, and I think I would kind of be able to answer it myself, but still, I think for also people who may be listening and not familiar with Web3 at all, a bit of a provocative questions, so we're talking about one of the things, it's not the only one, but one of the advantage of NFTs is that sense of a community that you can build. And so I think, as you said one time in an article somewhere, like you're not just like buying fashion, you're really being part of it, and you can exchange and give ideas for the future. So there is really that sense of community, which is great. But my provocative thought here is like that I think we may have is you can already have that sense of community throughout social media. So what really is for you making Web3 community building so special compared to Web2?
Yeah, the different really lies that on Web2 you're a client of the brand, and you are following the Instagram and you give it a like, and you maybe you leave a comment, right? And you're just buying stuff, but that's where the relationship ends. Web3, there's like it's kind of like a loyalty program that is involved. Have a special platform that is only for the people of the project, like a Discord. So in social media, everybody can see what's happening, but in the Discord, there's stuff that is only for the holders. And you can tell them ideas, you can actually contact them and express like, this would be very cool if you did that. Or they could say, look, we're having a special event just for our holders, like who's going to be in Paris. So it's a different engagement. It's like more intimate, and then it's a more powerful client that then it's not called client, it's community.
Absolutely, yes. So it's a different mindset, as well as just the tools evolve, but also like the complete mindset and in the type of relationship. Yeah, it's super interesting. Super
and
exciting.
you knowing more that community helps you design better for them and give them what they like, and you're not going to be 100%, like, this is exactly what you guys want. There might be something that then the community will tell you, we really didn't like this. So can we change this? And then you listen. So
Exactly. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you for answering though. And we have 3 more minutes on this Zoom, so I'll see if I can squeeze in one more question. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Eyes of Fashion. That you're as your title of Chief Fashion Officer. It's such a beautiful project. I love discovering about it. And so you mentioned earlier how you met Talia Zaref in Monaco. So that's really interesting also to hear about like the conference capacity to meet people in the same field as you. And first question, maybe a bit technical or not the most interesting of all, but I am curious because I'm new to NFTs. How do you get 8,888 NFTs in 2 minutes? And do you want to talk maybe a little bit about the project, I guess, because I just went.
So the story is very interesting because she is a real like fashion illustrator. So she started with like, painting, aquarels, that's. So she would come to Paris, Milan, New York, Asia. She would be invited by Chanel, Dior, Fendi to be part of the show by sketching the runway, the clothes of the runway, and the celebrities that attend the runway. So for 10 years, she did that. And I mean, her Instagram is like massive. And she did everybody from Kendall, Anna Wintour, all these great fashion figures and even like pop stars and things like that. And she had a beautiful career for 10 years. And then the pandemic happened. So there's no shows. So there's really no shows. So she says, okay, I have to bring my art to digital. And how do I do that? And then she was on Facebook groups, like her local Facebook groups about technology and NFTs and blockchain. And then she found somebody that said, I can help you. So like he was his co-founder. So they came together. And the way that a collection is done is generative, right? So she draws X amount of traits. So you can see in the back that she's wearing the eye here. So that is a Paris background, wearing a red dress, and the eye maybe has a hat, and the eye is black. Okay, but then there will be other ones that have I don't know, Miami background, or a blue dress, or maybe have a little dog, or have multiple eyes with different colors. One has the signal of the Bitcoin, so those are traits. And then, so all of those are hand drawn, either on Procreate, probably on Procreate, where she does digital. And then those are brought together and kind of like mixed together.
And we're back at it. Thank you, Ida, for your patience. So to resume to where we stopped with the previous Zoom, you were telling me how Talia is creating this artwork physically, and then it's coming along into NFTs.
Right. So she hand draws the traits, and we're talking about, I don't know the exact number, but it's 200, 300 traits, 500 traits, which is, I told you, like the background, the eyes, the dress that she's wearing, the eyes, So they all of those got feed. They got like input somewhere. I don't even know where. And I don't know if it's in the contract, but it just generates all of the options. And supply was 8,888, that then combines all of those 500 or 200 traits together. And some of them are going to be more rare, and some are more common, depending on because there's backgrounds that are like the Paris backgrounds are really very like more rare versus like just a dash of color or has no background at all. There's some that have her signature.
Okay.
So it all depends.
Okay, so she uploads all the collection, and then what's the name of is there a specific platform you do that on, or does that?
Yeah. So I mean, the contract is done like in-house, so it's our contract, as a fashion contract. But then the biggest market, the most liquid, is OpenSea.
Okay.
So then all of those, all the collection, once it's minted, which is minted in a website of the company,
Okay.
the holders go there, they connect their wallets, and they mint it. And you had to be so fast because it was so popular, the hype of the market, that in 2 minutes they were all sold. I actually minted I minted 3,
Okay.
and and it was like, and then it was done. And I remember, like, I got the 3 and I gave 1 to a friend of mine that was not able to do it.
Okay. Okay.
I sent her, yeah, I sent her the art, the NFT. And yeah, in 2 minutes it was done. And then the secondary market starts. So the people that minted were able to then keep what they wanted, sell the other ones, buy the ones that they like more. And then the whole process of the rarity start to come. And I think our biggest sale was 10 ETH.
Wow,
Yeah,
amazing.
for the one that is the celebrity Elliot. Yeah.
Okay.
And the Madonna one. There's yeah.
That's amazing. I'm so glad to hear that.
Gaga, not Madonna. I think it's Gaga. Gaga.
Yeah, it's good to hear how it all happens in the back, so to speak. And so to look at the bigger picture of Eyes of Fashion, so their mission, quoting the website, is to support companies moving from Web 2 into Web 3, and to do so in an inclusive manner. So supporting, for example, women through education around Web 3. Which is such an amazing goal, but so big. It's so I was just wondering if you can tell us a bit more how that goal is being achieved. Like what does it mean concretely? And
So
because
one of our like
yeah.
components, we have divided kind of like into buckets,
Uh-huh.
and one of them is helping other artists and designers like Talia
Mhm.
to get into Web3. So we have a young artist in the United States that we're going to bring up her collection. We
Mhm.
have also working with another designer in Tel Aviv that she has done accessories for like Madonna
Yeah.
and Gaga, and that was going to come out. And then what they have done for me, it's also I'm a Web 2 designer, and they helped me come into Web 3. So it's some kind of like projects like that, doing collaborations with other Web 2 brands and things like that. And then the other thing is using the IP of
Mhm.
the art to
Mhm.
make it a brand that people will recognize. Oh, that's Isa Fashion. So we have been able to kind of come full circle as to we're in fashion with the earrings and the merch that we do, like even bathing suits and things like that. We're in lifestyle. We're gonna have handbags and carry-ons that are gonna come out soon, and they're gonna be selling in North America, in
Okay.
either Macy's or Kohl's. We're waiting to see what is the actual the store, and that should be soon. We have gaming, so we are part of a game in Sandbox, which is called Love in Paris, and we have like a little street that has ISO fashion art, and the character of ISO fashion is there, and you can go and learn about ISO fashion when you play the game.
Oh, amazing.
So
Okay.
we have to do some game nights and see how we help like holders and maybe their kids play, learn about Paris, win stuff, kind of things like that.
Mhm.
And we have other kind of metaverse like Decentraland. We do stuff. We're verified in Decentraland, and then the other thing could be services that we could do to other brands,
Okay.
to create their filters, to help them with AR, things like that.
Okay. Okay, amazing. That's a great project, great adventure for sure. And switching a little bit again, there's so many things to talk about. So I wanted to touch a little bit everything. So you're also a curator, I believe, for Randy Zuckerberg's NFT Accelerator Hub. So I was wondering if you'd like to talk a little bit about this and your role with them.
Yeah, that was when it started. When it was also back then in the height of the market. How she started her project, she was, okay, so we're rallying up the best curators out there in the Web3 family, and we need your help. So basically, I don't know how many we were at the beginning, but we all had access to a big Notion spreadsheet,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just checking out projects, other projects, as you know, as ISO fashion, and you know, like checking them
Yeah.
and analyzing them. Do they make sense? What was wrong with them? What was great about them? And just making notes about all of these things. And then it was kind of like a grading system to just kind of like, and then building this database
Okay.
of all the projects, not even like women, but just like other projects of art and fashion and that were at that time. And that's how she started her project called Hug. And then Hug had also an accelerator. We were part of the first or the second class of the accelerator, which was like Zoom calls with them and learning about what they, you know, what they recommend us to do and things like that. And now they're targeting focusing on artists themselves. And so there's a big website that has a lot of artists like profiles, and you can go and see what they do, and you can kind of like even like search if you want a Latin artist or if you want a photography artist, and then they're going to help them bring their stuff to life by print on demand. And they're also doing open calls for exhibitions around the world, so they're just like helping artist community
Right.
directly get out there.
Okay, amazing. And that's a great way to learn more about NFTs, but also like to continue building a community and across different countries. So that's an exciting project for sure.
This dog
And
over here, that's them, that little
yeah.
dog. Yeah,
Oh, I
that's
love it. Okay, good to know. Everything has a story for sure. It's amazing.
so I got that kind of like as a thank you for being part of that original class of creators.
That's
Really.
awesome. Yeah, that's really things you want to hold on to. It has a deep meaning. It's great. And I'll finish with just two, three questions because I already asked you so many. But one was about which metaverse platforms you mentioned Sandbox, but maybe there are others that you would recommend, and maybe some NFT specific NFT platforms that you would recommend to anyone who's new to Web3, just getting started, and they're interested in fashion or in community, that sense of community building. Is there some easier one to get started, according to you?
So, well, I mean, it all depends what you want to do. Are you going to be a collector of art?
Mhm.
Then there's like higher end art websites and marketplaces. Like, I mean, even Christie's and Sotheby's already are selling NFTs. But there's, you know, an NFT Gateway Foundation. There's a bunch of different marketplaces for different niche.
Okay.
The biggest is really OpenSea, where you're gonna find everything there, like all sorts of, from the weirdest, most
Yeah.
horrible projects to, you know, very good projects.
Right.
So that's a place. I mean, there's also like the media that covers NFT, which is like NFT Now. And then there's like Twitter shows. So every morning you have Coffee with Captain at 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitter Spaces. And
Okay.
then it's Captain and Steve, they're two board apes, which is one of the biggest projects. And then at 3 p.m. you have the Nifty Portal. There's
Okay.
like, so then there's those where I learn a lot, like just listening to Twitter Spaces. Mostly every morning I listen to them just because I want to know what's happening every day. Like yesterday, I was listening to the Nifty Portal, and there's a huge spike on Bitcoin because there was a mistake on a Twitter that somebody sent, and you know everybody was just commenting. So it's really like we were all there. So it's just really nice to kind of interact as
Yes.
things are happening. And then Rock Radio is another media outlet by Farouk that you can kind of like learn what's
Rob
happening.
Review?
Rock Radio,
Okay.
REG Radio. And so those are like, you know, very good like sources of like what's happening with the markets. In terms of like women projects, there's Eyes of Fashion, Word of Women, Buff Beauty, Hug,
Yeah.
um, that are still like out there building.
Right.
And there's also kind of like the camp of the digital fashion, which is DressX. It's mostly about wearables. They want to create the biggest closet of wearables.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
really great project. And there's there's other like digital fashion that are coming. There are native crypto projects. There's also 9DCC, which is by G Money, and this is like digital items and items that have an NFC chip in, he has a hat,
Mhm.
and the hat has like a little NFC chip that you can tap it with your phone, and then you can exchange things with the person that is tapping your phone, and then they can communicate with us like, oh, we have a game, tap your phone and play, so it's like different engagement, social connect.
Mhm.
So I kind of, to this moment, I've been a little bit in all of them, because I
Okay.
just love everything that is happening. But there's, you just have to decide if you want to be more of the art. I mean, I do believe that the art, I mean, if you always love the art, then you're not going to care if it's worth less than when you bought it. You're just like, this is, I love it and I have it. And you can either like print it or put it on a monitor and see it every day.
Right. Right. Absolutely. No, that's a really good point. Thank you for sharing all these resources. I'll make sure to add some links at the
I'll
bottom.
say, yeah.
And to wrap it up, I wanted to ask you if you can share some clues about what may be coming next for yourself with Edalou Paris, but also maybe for Eyes of Fashion, your role there.
Yeah, so with Iso Fashion is, what I told you with the bags. They're very cute carry-ons. Go to the Instagram and you'll see them. And
Right.
which is great for the holiday travel. And we also have just a few projects with other brands that we're helping, so that including the Sandbox game. And in terms of Edalou, I'm considering doing another handbag, but this one that has a chip and is like really tight, to be able to now get those women that were my clients to be part of like a community of Web3. So I need to figure that out, but I think I would like to do that between end of the year and next year.
Amazing. Okay, well, that sounds exciting and a lot of projects coming up soon. So I'll
And the
have
earring will probably be available at some point. So yeah.
fantastic. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for your time and sharing all these insights across very different themes. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And you can find us Iso Fashion or Edalou Paris, and you can reach out and we'll gladly answer your questions.